Welcome to the Yadusha Show, District 29's favorite podcast. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Yadusha Show. My name is Ann Johnston Brown. I'm one of your hosts, and we've got your other host on the line right now, Yadusha Williams. And Yadusha, let's talk about last night. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. I went to the CCRCC meeting last night. It was a nice turnout, and I'm so glad that so many people showed up.
Yep.
I was able to give out a lot of literature, meet some new faces. I even gave out yard signs. So
Wow.
It was really exciting to meet a lot of the constituents that follow me and they listen to the podcast. And it was a very interesting night, talking to some of the candidates and listening to people's speeches. And I'm just going to leave it at that because we have somebody that we're going to talk to today, and we want to give them as much time as possible because it's really important.
Elizabeth Helgelien touts the record for being the youngest female state senator in Nevada's history. The American Conservative Union praised her for maintaining a flawless 100% conservative voting record and for putting the people of Nevada ahead of liberal special interests. Since leaving office, Elizabeth has worked as a real estate agent and hopes to bring all of her experiences back to the political arena. She is currently running for U.S. Congress District 3, and she's here with us now. How you doing, Elizabeth?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
We're thrilled to have you here. And I'll tell you what, we've actually designated a little bit of a longer interview for you because we've got a lot to talk to you about today. So, Yadusha, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so again, Elizabeth, thank you very much for agreeing to do this. It's so many people that want to hear your voice. I see so many people rally behind you. So we know you served out the state Senate and you really fought for the people back then. Can you talk a little bit about what happened when you were running, on why people are saying you weren't very present?
Yeah, I have not been hearing that from anybody, and I always invite people to ask me questions. I was a rock star in the state Senate for the people. I fought for them, and I stood up to not just the Democrats, but the Republicans who wanted to raise taxes. So I did such an incredible job. I received the Defender of Liberty Award,
I heard about that.
Yep, and I received the Conservative of the Year award after session. So unfortunately, so when I was in the state Senate, it was the easiest job I ever had because I remained true to my principles and really true to the people who put their trust in me. I stood up, like I said, against the establishment and stood up for the people. The liberal lobbyists didn't like me. The liberal media didn't like me. The liberal legislators did, and the Uniparty members didn't like me because I made sure they could not pull their usual games.
That's what you call a true conservative.
Amen. Amen. But to answer your question, so when I came home, and what people who weren't here or people who don't remember, I was in a very abusive marriage. My ex-husband was an abusive, narcissistic psychopath. He abused me physically, sexually, mentally, verbally, emotionally, financially, spiritually. I mean, you name it. And it was later revealed that he was a child sexual predator. He cheated on me. And the last time that I cared about him cheating on me was with a teenage girl. And by the way, I do have a signed affidavit from a pastor, a non-interested third party who my ex-husband and his girlfriend had admitted it to. And he was arrested for battery, coercion, open and gross lewdness, and was found guilty by a grand jury of all of that. So, but the verbal abuse was just as bad too. I mean, he would call me fat, ugly, stupid, worthless, unloved. And he told me nobody would ever love me. And when I was elected, I realized that everything that he had been telling me wasn't true, that I wasn't worthless, that I did have a purpose.
But no one should ever have to hear things like that.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And it's so true. And the abuse just got so bad, I couldn't hide it anymore. And I told him I wanted a divorce. And things got 10 times worse. And for anybody who knows anything about domestic violence, it always gets worse when a victim tries to leave. He held me captive. He took my phone, my purse, my car keys. And the Las Vegas Sun actually wrote about that fact. So My home.
Now, Elizabeth, real quick. So when you say that he held you captive, wasn't that when you were in office?
Yeah, so I was still elected when all of this was happening. It was after session.
Mind blowing.
Yep, it was after session, but I was still an elected official when I was sexually assaulted. I was still an elected official when I was going through all of this. And not one single person helped me, even as an elected official. So imagine what other people are going through. My home kept getting broken into when I was not home and I was taking my children to school. And even when I was home, my daughter's window was shot. My son had a huge rock thrown through it. CSI even came out to my house and said, absolutely, this was deliberate. This is exactly where it happened. My ex-husband would send me videos of me driving down the street. He would send me screenshots of my location. I mean, it was horrific. I won't go into all the details for the sake of time. But I was a young mother at the time. I was in my 20s. I had 3 children to protect. And unfortunately, I had to make the decision to move out of state because, like I said, nobody was helping me. I was literally elected and not one person was helping me. So I had to get my children to a safe place. It broke my heart because I loved serving the people and representing the people and fighting for the people, but our lives were literally on the line. I needed to protect my children.
I completely understand. Yeah. And you know, it's such a heartbreaking situation. And I've been in situations like that, and it's very hard because you do not have the support that you wish that you had. And I commend you for doing everything that you could to protect your kids. And unfortunately, you had to leave, but you're back now.
Absolutely.
You're back. Absolutely. And that takes courage.
Absolutely. And I'm so thankful for that. And thanks for sharing your story. And you know, that's why I'm advocating to protect our children in every sense. I fight against domestic violence. I fight against sexual assault and human trafficking and closing the border. And I'm just so blessed to have so many incredible people like you. You had just shared your story with us. And so many people, even at the door, men and women are telling us and thanking me for my bravery, and their granddaughters, their moms who they saw go through it when they were little. I mean, these are real issues that people don't talk about. And God is using me and my horrific experiences to reach the people and let them know that they're not alone.
It takes a will of God to push through something like that. So I truly commend you for that. But just looking back on the time representing Nevada in Congress, what are you most proud of achieving during your tenure back then?
Yeah, so when I was in the state Senate, it was great. So we actually stopped a lot of nanny state regulations. We stopped a lot of government getting in our way. And actually, not just the Democrats, but so Republicans campaigned on no new taxes, right? We got into office. And again, I was in my 20s at the time. I was 27. And we got into office, and the Republican governor walked into our Senate Republican caucus room, and he said, all right, guys, I want to raise taxes, and I want all of you to vote for them so we look unified. And every single one of them, Yadusha, was going to do it. So imagine me in my 20s, the people were 2 and 3 times my age. I literally stood up and I pointed to each of them and I said, you are the exact reason why I ran for office. You just campaigned on no new taxes, on not raising taxes. And here you are months later voting to saying you're going to vote to increase taxes. And so I was able to, there a couple days passed before the vote came up, and I was able to get the majority of the Republicans to vote with me against the taxes, against the governor who wanted to raise taxes. And it's people like that who have the courage to stand up. It's those leaders that we need in office. So I have proven that I've done that, and I'm going to do that in Washington.
What are some of the most significant lessons you learned while serving?
Well, I learned not to trust a lot of people. Unfortunately, there was not a lot of people who get elected and actually want to represent the people and want to do the right thing. I learned, of course, I knew how to work with people. I was a conservative, of course I still am, but conservative who won in a Democrat district. The legislature, I was in the minority at the time. I helped kill bad legislation, and I voted to pass good legislation. I worked with Democrats and Republicans to make sure that we were able to kill bad legislation. So I was able to use my negotiating skills and build those relationships. Those are all important and able to do that so we could represent the people. It was very often I had to go to a Democrat and say, this bill is not good for your constituents, and here's why. and I would go and do that. So those are the skills that I have, and I'm able to go and negotiate and get people who don't usually agree with us to vote with us.
So let's just say you're back in Congress today. What specific policies are areas affecting Nevada would you prioritize now, and why?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that everyone is talking about is closing the border. It deals with crime, with safety and security, human trafficking, fentanyl. So many people have had to bury their family members because of fentanyl. We've had to deal with human trafficking. I mean, these are all real world issues. So that's the number one. President Trump, of course, the Republicans passed the Secure the Border Act. That passed. It's been passed for a year. The Senate, the Democrats have not brought it up for a vote. They absolutely need to. We have to close the border. That's my number one issue. That's what the people want, and that's what I'm going to be fighting to do. Again, when I was in the Senate, that's what I fought. I fought for the people and what they wanted, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in Congress, is fighting for what the people want, and they want that border closed. So I'm going to support President Trump's Remain in Mexico bill that Joe Biden had tried to get rid of, or did get rid of, unfortunately. I'm going to support the Secure the Border Act. I'm going to fight and get people, like I did in the Senate. I'm going to fight and get Democrats on our side and to close that border.
I completely agree. And that border is almost like the vein of the issues that starts everything. And unfortunately, Las Vegas is that unspoken city where we are a sanctuary city. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, again, sanctuary cities protect those who they work against Americans. They work against law-abiding citizens. We have to close the border. We have to stop human trafficking. That is huge here in Las Vegas. We have to fight against human trafficking. We have to fight against fentanyl. We have to kick out every single illegal alien and get them out of here. We should be spending money on Americans and finally focusing on our issues and not the issues of other countries. We have to make sure that we deport all illegal aliens and we make America safe again.
Absolutely. Now, just to rename back a little bit more dear to all of our hearts, what are you going to do about the school district?
Yeah, well, first of all, one of the biggest things that we can do on a federal level is we could actually get rid of the Department of Education. They're not helping our children. They're not protecting our children. They're all about an indoctrination, not education. We have such an issue where children they don't even know how to read. Our teachers are not teaching them how to read. They're teaching them what to read. They're not teaching them how to think. They're teaching them what to think. That is absolutely horrific that our future generations are not being equipped with what they need to be successful in the future. So we absolutely have to tackle those issues.
That's a great way of putting it. They're teaching them what to think and not how. So before we let you go, Elizabeth, if you could tell the community, what is the most important thing you want them to know, and how can they reach out to you?
Yes. This is crucial. Everybody's receiving our ballot. I am the only Trump Republican in my race. I'm the only one who actually represents the people. I'm the only one who's actually won. I've beat an incumbent before. I beat a millionaire Democrat before. And I'm the only one that can and will beat Susie Lee. My opponents are not Trump supporters. I have a spot on my website. You can go to my website, Elizabeth4Nevada.com, click on my opponents and actually read all of their anti-Trump rhetoric. But everybody, please get out and vote for me. Ballots are already being received. Early voting starts on the 25th, on May 25th. So please vote for Elizabeth Helgelien for Congress. You can go to my website, Elizabeth4Nevada.com to learn more.
Okay. And that is only 9 days away, everybody. We can start voting here in Nevada, and I hope you do. And we are just so thankful, Elizabeth, that you're a busy lady. We've been waiting and hoping we could get you on the show. And so thank you so much. And by the way, everybody, go to our website, williamsfornv.com, for more information. Thanks a lot, you guys. And thank you, Elizabeth and Yadusha. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.